Good afternoon. It's Friday the 25th of May, the last day before the final of the Eurovision Song Contest 2012, or the day after the second semi-final, to look at it another way. I'm Keith Mills, Andrew Main here beside me.
Hi there.
And we're just going to look back briefly at last night's events. Very exciting show, and that drawing of the envelope was very, very exciting. And then look forward to tonight's jury final and tomorrow's final of the 2012 contest. First of all, looking back, anything surprised you last night, Andrew?
Yes, I was a little bit surprised that Slovenia didn't make it through. I thought it was one of the better of the Balkan songs last night, and I really did expect it to go through, and maybe being on just before Croatia, maybe the two of them just somehow squeezed each other out, because neither of them made it through, whereas Bosnia, who had a plum draw near the end, with a perfectly nice song, but I felt not quite as good as Slovenia made it through.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think Slovenia was my surprise as well. Switzerland was the surprise in the first semi-final, not qualifying if there was one. Slovenia was the one I'm surprised with last night. A lot of people had different songs in there in the mix last night. So some people were surprised by Lithuania qualifying. It didn't surprise us because we've been calling it.
We were calling it early on.
Yeah, we said the good position and a good performance, so it was always in with a chance. And Malta, which I wavered on, I had it in, had it out, had it in again. That actually made the list now, and that's one thing I'll say. Malta was performing very, very early last night, and it qualified in a semi-final full of ex-Yugoslav countries and ex-Soviet Union countries. Tomorrow night in the final, it's got a much, much better draw late on in the running order, and it has the whole of Europe to draw votes from. So watch that one, I think. That could be something to keep an eye out for. Anything else strike you from the draw?
I mean, when Malta actually were drawn out, and it was towards the end of the draw as well, there was a lot of people gunning for Joan from the Netherlands, but I actually felt, although I had Netherlands qualifying over Malta, but only narrowly, I actually felt that whichever one of those two was to come through, that it would mean that the other one wouldn't, because there wasn't a huge amount of Western votes available.
Yeah, that's true. They were both performed early in the running order, which meant it was very unlikely that we would get that many songs coming out of the first half of
I think they were on one after the other actually, which meant that whichever one shone the best was probably the one that went through, and I believe it was probably Malta on the night.
I always said this from the start, and I've got a few things wrong here, but I always said that Malta was overshining Netherlands, and sure enough, it did happen last night. My disappointment last night, Portugal not making the final. I don't know. I spoke with Filipe Sousa in the Euro Club afterwards. She was in great form, I have to say, but it was just one of those things. It was a poor draw and so many ballads, and I think it probably very, very narrowly missed out, would be my guess on that one.
It was beautifully performed. I mean, I'm sure people watching it back home may well agree with us. We haven't seen the TV show as such, but it sounded absolutely fantastic in the hall.
Yep. So, from also other things that I'm thinking of the draw, Serbia's late draw, I think, is also playing into its hands, and in a way, perhaps playing into Ireland's hands.
Yeah.
So that last up-tempo song that's memorable, which I always think is the one to beat at Eurovision, could now be Ireland. People said last night in the Euro Club, and the Euro Club went on late last night. I think
this morning.
This morning.
This morning.
Right. 7 o'clock for me. And
the back of 6 for me.
Right. And people were saying in the Euro Club last night that Russia really benefited from the draw, because it's now, after a string of slow songs at the start, it really gets the contest going. Yeah. And I'm inclined to agree with that as well. So I think the main winners of the draw were Russia and Serbia.
It's benefited Russia enormously. I mean, if Russia had been drawn alongside something like, say, a big up-tempo like Sweden or Ukraine or something like that, then it could have had an impact, a downward impact on Russia's voting chances. But the fact that, as Keith said, the vast majority of the songs are either slow or mid-tempo songs in the first 5, which means that Russia are going to sort of really shine.
Yeah, I think so too. Ukraine got a very good draw as well last night. Sweden, number 17, great draw for Ireland traditionally when there was much fewer songs in the contest. They got that draw. No, an okay draw, nothing special about that. So that's the favourites kind of taken care of there. I don't think the draw was a real game changer last night, which it can be. If, for example, Sweden or we'll say Serbia had been drawn on its own with nothing big around it at the end. It might have been, but there's enough being drawn towards the end with Ukraine and Ireland to take a little bit of attention away from...
There's reasonable variation in the draw. There is a sort of string of slow mid-tempo ones at the beginning. There's also a chunk in the sort of from the mid to the latter part of the draw of about 5 songs that could all be considered fairly up-tempo and upbeat, and that could be interesting because a lot of these songs would have thought they were in with a shout, but they're going to knock spots off each other. You know, one of them could shine and come out among all the others.
So our plans for today, Andrew is going in for the press rehearsal at 5:30 this afternoon, our time.
We invite you in
That's the tannoy system here. It can be rather loud when you're actually doing a video recording, but if you bear with us, we'll finish off.
Yes. So that's the press conference. Yeah, the press conferences are starting for the big 6. They are the big 5 plus Azerbaijan. They're just beginning here. They didn't have second press conferences earlier on. And what else today? As I said, Andrew is going inside. I'm staying out and looking at the show, maybe doing a rolling blog on this afternoon's show, but certainly doing a rolling blog on tonight's jury final. I'm going to hang around here and watch that show as it goes out to the juries this evening and do a rolling blog on that to see how that's gone. Last year that was decisive and it probably killed the chances of songs like the UK and Russia. And then I think that will be it for the evening.
Yeah, Elaine will probably be coming in at some point. She's just on her way in, so to speak. We're not sure exactly what time, but I would imagine she'll be in for the show this afternoon. She traditionally likes to go in and see it. Sometimes she'll stay and blog the later show at midnight. We'll need to wait and see what she fancies doing today.
Could she be trying to get out of that red, white and blue wig that she had for the Netherlands?
Yeah, she was wearing red, white and blue wig. If anybody's seen any of the photos on Facebook and such like, she looked absolutely stunning last night. Everybody was complimenting her on her style, her hair, saying you should have this all the time. Whether she decides to stick with it, we're not sure.
It's a look. So that's it then. As I said, that's the plans for today. A late night last night, so we're not going to be overly productive today. Just going to sit back and watch the shows and then give you our thoughts. And then tomorrow I'm going to take a day off, hopefully. Now, the big issue that we have here around the place is we still haven't got our tickets for the final, and we don't know when we're going to get them. And I've got to track down all of the Irish people that are over here and make sure that they get their tickets. So that's another little job that I have. So it's
yes, they love keeping us on our toes here.
Absolutely, never such thing as a day off. So stick with us on allkindsofeverything.ie. We'll be doing another Saturday morning blog tomorrow, a brunch blog, and I'm trying to think of somewhere exotic to take that. I might take you up the top of the Maiden Tower, maybe, or something like that.
That sounds like an interesting proposition, Keith.
Okay, grand. We might have a date then. Okay, see you tomorrow for Eurovision Day, but we're off to watch the jury final and the press rehearsal later on today. Stick with us, all kinds of everything.